8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Coming soon. Snake River Manufacturing is developing a revolutionary new way to design and build a custom kayak trailer. This modular design lets you customize your trailer one piece at a time, allowing you to grow as you go.
You know, a lot of folks think gorillas can't read. But when the magazine's this good, even I had to subscribe.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for episode 44 of the Kayak Cafe podcast. This episode is brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing. Snake River Manufacturing is designing and making some of the best kayak trailers that are on the market that will get you to and from your home to the lake and back in style. So go check them out at snakerivermanufacturing.us. This episode is also brought to you by Viking Kayaks US. So go check them out. They have some great paddlecraft to get you on the water and get back to your roots of actually paddling. So go to vikingkayaksusa.com and check them out. So, all right. So this episode, I'm very, very fortunate to have a gentleman who I am not ashamed to admit I stalked a tad bit on social media. He has a unique style that I'm really looking to dive in and pick his brain a bit about how he comes up with his social media content and what got him into it. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in Mr. Michael Del Priore. Hello, sir.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm great.
Howdy.
Did I nail the name? I tried really hard.
Oh, yeah, you did great.
Yes.
A lot of people get it wrong, but you did it.
Victory number one. Awesome. So,
yes, sir.
As I said, I've stalked you a bit on social media, and I think that if people haven't seen you, then they need to go check you out. But if you wouldn't mind, give a brief rundown of who you are and what you do.
I guess you could say I'm a photographer, videographer, kayak fishing angler. Just started doing that whole mix this year, so it's been awesome.
Awesome. So let me ask you this: what came first, the fishing or the photography?
That's a good question. They both kind of started when I was a kid, but I would probably say fishing for sure, just because I did that when I was probably 5. So,
is it a big family thing getting together? Or?
Kind of, yeah. It was actually we were on a houseboat in the Lake of the Ozarks, and no one else in my family actually is a big fisherman. And yeah, they just had some type of tackle, and I just threw it out there, and I think it was like a bluegill, and I caught my first fish. My mom was like, "How big was it?" And I was like, "It's literally this big." And yeah, I mean, that was a core memory, I would say, that kind of started my fishing, addiction, was just that literal moment.
Awesome. So, you say that the photography and the fishing started about the same time. What was your first photography memory that you can pick up?
So actually I distinctively remember it was an elementary school when I was in 5th grade. It was career day, and a father came in talking about that was his job and how he took photos of grapes and how he sold it to a wine company and made basically a good amount of money. And I was like, man, I lived in North Carolina at the time, and we lived in the mountains, and it was super pretty. And so I was like, I always envisioned all these pretty spots. And so instantly from that moment, I was like constantly thinking, if I had a camera, this is what, I would try to take photos of. And that's kind of, never had a camera, but, I just always, when I was a kid, I was like, man, this would make a great photo. That would make a great photo. And it wasn't until high school, my senior year, for graduation, I got my first point and shoot camera. So, and that's what, got me into the, the realm of photography, just because I got my actually first camera.
Do you remember what your first camera was? I remember what my first camera was.
What was it?
It was a Minolta QT SI. It was basically it was a point and shoot, but it looked like a DSLR body. You know, like it was cool, but
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like a Mustang,
mine
but
was like a
automatic.
Kodak Easy Share
Ooh,
with with like a little optical zoom with the lens that would and so that's how I knew I needed a DSLR, because anytime I would try to focus on anything, either like moving it, quick
mhm.
moving action or something close, my camera would just struggle, and I was like, why is that? And then when I go into Walmart or Best Buy and I picked up my first DSLR, I was like, whoa, look how quick this thing could focus. I was like, this is what I needed. And yeah, that point and shoot ended up getting stolen out of my car, and so my parents felt bad because it was a graduation present. And so then that's when I was like, well, we'll buy you another camera, and really, what do you want this time? So I was like, well, let me get my first DSLR so I can interchange the lens and really dive in. And yeah, that was when I got it in 2007.
What they don't know is you had the window down and a sign says, "Please take me," with the camera on it. I'm like,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
no, they got me.
Unfortunately, I need camera.
Yes. Yeah. So what was your first DSLR?
It was a Nikon D40, and it was 6
Hmm.
megapixels, to put that into perspective. So iPhones nowadays, obviously, they're, well, I don't even know what they are nowadays, but they're more than 6. So my first
Yeah.
DSLR is, yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. My first DSLR was a Nikon D50. Was the first one, and it was my getting my feet wet in the world of photography. So yeah, the first one is looking back on it. When I got it, I was like, man, this thing is like top tier. And then once you start
Yeah.
climbing that ladder, so
Yeah,
um,
it's actually, I don't know if you can see on my wall, but all my cameras, since I've started photography, I've kept. I never sold any. So my first camera is literally the D40. I got it back up there, and D200, my D3, my D800 or D810, and then yeah, now I got the Z7 mirrorless. So that's what I'm
yeah,
rocking.
yeah, we call it digital rot, but it makes great home decor.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's plus
Like
you can't
it's
get too much with technology.
that's
Improving
true.
every year after year, you're just like, man, it makes more sense just to keep it.
Yeah, we just found an iPad that we used for like recipes in one of our cupboards, and I was like, "Oh man, look!" And I looked it up. It's like $35 now for that
Yeah,
particular
it's
series, and
version.
it's not upgradable. Yeah, so it's just basically a paperweight. But so
That's
when
fine.
did you come to the realization you wanted to meld the two things together? Because I put photography, videography as a skill, and fishing is like a passion. When did you put them together?
I mean, it was sometime this year. I started wanting to, post on social media. Come January, I was like, all right, let me really be active on social media. And that was when I had my Insta 360. And I was doing the
Hmm.
Insta 360 a lot, but it just wasn't kind of really like giving me that satisfaction of what I wanted to necessarily capture on my catches. And we even tried using the iPhone, and there would be moments that I would be out or my wife would be out with me, and we would try to get certain moments, and it's just like it's just not good enough compared to, again, us both being photographers and I guess
Hmm.
videographers. We're just like, it's not giving us the same capture and effect that we wanted. So we're like, all right, let's just go ahead and bring out the camera and see what it does. And then literally the first time that we did it, we both fell in love with it. And we're like, all right, we for sure have to start bringing our cameras out and start, recording this type of content, because it just didn't seem like there was a lot of people out there that was doing it in this industry. And so we definitely looked
Hmm.
at it like that, as like, yeah, this is one way that we can, yeah, show, what we can offer in this industry as far as our quality goes, and yeah, what we can capture as far as our story.
Right. I know that every single seminar I've ever been to as a photographer, they're like, you need to find your differentiating factor. And I'm like, yeah. Now you have found that, in my opinion, because like I said, when I was flipping through Instagram or wherever, and when you come across your stuff, because it's a whole nother level. So uh come on,
it's a curse
Papa.
though, because then I want to
Hmm.
constantly use that type of quality, but it's always so hard because there's times when I bring out all that equipment and I get skunked. I'm like, well, I can't necessarily keep on posting B-roll because a lot of people want to see fish with
Right.
the type of quality that I'm trying to produce. So there's been a ton of times that I've been out that yeah, I mean, it's just wasted footage in my opinion. It's like it's pretty shots, but I mean, if I didn't catch a fish, I mean, I just yeah, it hurts a little bit more to get skunked.
Yeah, Classy says this guy's incredible at what he does for sure. Always get drawn into his
Aw,
TikToks. That's true, and
I appreciate that.
I will respectfully disagree with you on your B-roll uh, failure, if you will, because watching, like I've said before, there's videos of you walking the kayak through water, and I'm like slow motion cinematic. I'm like that's next level, and
Yeah.
yeah,
For me, I
especially
mean,
when
I
you're
love
flipping
it.
through.
It's
Yeah.
pretty, but I feel like
Hmm.
social media doesn't like it. Anytime I've ever tried to produce, at least sometimes it seems like when I produce something that's what I actually want, which is more of the high quality stuff, social media is like, nah, you put too much effort into it. We're just gonna put you into this, range of
Yeah.
views and yeah. But it's
I
all right.
saw somewhere. I know that the algorithm and what they want changes daily, but I saw somewhere that if it sees that it was edited on professional gear or professional software, it doesn't give it the push that it would edited on an iPhone. So I don't know
Right.
how true that is, but I've also done things that I've been very proud of, and they do little to nothing. And then you know, big guy sitting in the middle of the water talking about not catching anything, 90,000 views. Like,
Right.
scroll back
Yeah.
one and check that out, but
Yeah. But I mean, since I've obviously started posting that high quality stuff, I mean, it allowed me to, get seen by, like some big companies, for example,
mhm,
from YouTube creators that wanted to hire me to, again, film series. So there's that retrospect is like, okay, social media didn't blow me up, for example, but it still allowed me
yeah,
to get seen by good people
right,
that, again, allowed me to get paid for, certain things. So that's awesome. Didn't expect it,
right,
honest. I was like, I just wanted to produce good content for me to be like, try to produce my own good content. And yeah, I mean, just doors kind of opened up. I was like, wow, I mean, it was super awesome.
yeah. Because when I look at images or videos, even like people that are sponsored sometimes, and I'm sure you do this too as a photographer. When someone shows you an image, the first thing you do is critique it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, I could tell where the light's at. I could tell what you did right, what you did wrong. Where's the hands at? Oh, half the hands are in. Where but
Yeah.
the light placement and stuff like that. I imagine that your your level of expertise is something that other people could learn from as well. So do you ever do any type of like education or classes or anything like that?
I have in the past. Haven't recently in as far as like the kayak or the fishing industry, but as far as like
Hmm.
just photographers, videographers that have known me in the industry, I've taught. Yeah, for sure.
One thing that I want to know is I watched some of your um, videos and I saw you like with a big DSLR and putting it in your bag. How do you keep that safe when you're on the water?
I mean, it's not. It's almost never safe, in my opinion. It's just one of those things. I have to try to be as careful as possible, but know that it is a possibility that I could flip the kayak, or I could accidentally make a mistake, whatever the case
Mhm.
is. Because actually, we did have one time. I mean, we did have our camera bag fall into the river, and the
Mm.
camera did not turn on, and we had to soak the camera in rice, and the first 24 hours the camera didn't turn back on. And so I was like, well, I get the new camera, the Z9. That's what I was kind of hoping. But then, I was like, well, let me just wait another 24 hours. And so I did and popped the battery back, and it worked. And so yeah, it's fine. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I try to have, the proper, obviously cases and things, but especially in the rivers and quick moving things. And I'm trying to fish myself. And so I just literally just put it into a, sometimes into like some type of case that I know that has like a hard waterproof type of backing, or, bottom that I know, like if water comes up in the bottom of the kayak, my equipment's
Mhm.
still safe. And then I just kind of put a latch over it. And for the most part, I mean, it kind of keeps it dry, but I kind of put faith into the equipment that, the weather sealing, as far as like maybe not the mirrorless cameras go, but as far as like the
Right.
D810 versions, I was very trustful with their weather seal. Like I've been out in pretty harsh rain before and never had an issue. So I was like, yeah, I like to test my equipment. Honestly, I beat it up. Me being, in the industry for 19 years, I definitely beat up my equipment.
Yeah, when I had my Nikon D50, I got a gig working for a local newspaper, and we were doing wakeboarding. So we're out on a boat, and next to me is a guy from Getty Images, and he had like the D3s at the time, were like top dog. So he had a D3 on
Yeah.
a 400 millimeter, and he had a D3 on a 200 millimeter, and it started pouring down raining, and I'm like putting it under my coat, and he's just sitting there, rain's just bucketing on his gear, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "It's weather sealed." I'm like,
Yeah.
it blew my mind. Yeah, so I know that they've got
Well,
capabilities.
well, I started with like the surf photography when I was a teenager, and so
Hmm.
that's why I ended up getting a D3. That's when you made that example, and so like that's what I was used to. I was like, I was been out in boats and stuff where like again rain, the surf is coming up, and it's just like, yeah, your gear just goes through it, and you could just hope that, yeah. I mean, that's why I like it honestly, because I've tested both, a lot of different models, and I'm like, yeah, it takes my abuse pretty well.
So let's
And I
go.
worked for a
Oh,
studio with Canon, and I was like, man, we had to constantly send Canons off to repair. So I was like, I'm gonna stick with Nikon for a little bit.
well, they say cannons are only good for one shot and they're done. No,
That's funny.
I just made that up. I just did off the cuff. I mean, uh, so I know that like when you do a wedding or you do I do, sometimes you have a shot list, so when you go out fishing now, are you fun fishing with video capture, or are you, okay, here's a shot list for the day? Do you just yourself? I know for
it all
clients, you probably,
Yeah, for myself, if I'm just trying to only create like shorts or a reel or just a small TikTok example, I'll try to
Mhm.
just have a quick shot list just so I know, okay, I need to get myself, let's just say reversing the truck, unloading or loading B-roll of, the details. And then as soon as, where I have a place that I can drone, I'll try to do drone video, a B-roll, and try to just do certain shots just so I can not have to worry about those shots. So I can fish a lot longer knowing that I already had B-roll for me casting, me this, me that, and then I just need shots of my fish.
Hmm.
So yeah. So yeah, and then for YouTube, for example, I've only done one YouTube video, or technically I got
Mhm.
one that I still need to post. I'm just like a big procrastinator, and I suck at social media. So uh, for bigger videos and longer videos, I'll try to have more things planned, just because. Yeah, that's just the way my brain works. I mean, being a wedding photographer is just like I have to be organized. I have to know, you know, opening up the door, this shot, this shot, this shot type of deal. So yeah,
Yes.
sometimes it can get technical, but yeah, I try not to be too technical. Can try to be more in the moment and candid, like. But yeah, sometimes there has to be a shot list, in my opinion,
Right.
just to try to create a story.
I agree with that too, because a lot of times you'll go out there free form and totally forget half the stuff you want to get. You'll come back with like three
Yeah,
catches and
exactly.
then nothing to support it. So, um,
Right. So even like as far as even the type of content that we're shooting now is that we
mhm.
tried to remember to do horizontal, vertical, slow-mo, and 4K. And so it's just like there's four different things that you have to try to, again, the camera you have to tilt or horizontal and have to do slow-mo and 4K. Tilt it for vertical for TikTok and Reels because I don't like to crop, my videos to make
Mhm.
it vertical. I would rather keep that resolution. And so, yeah, then I have to flip the cameras and do again those sometimes the exact same shots or different shots like it, so I could have again certain formatted shots for vertical and horizontal. So yeah, it's a lot to remember,
Yeah.
and try to get the shots obviously. So, but the more
So
you
do
do
you
it, the
have,
more that it gets like clockwork.
right? So as far as like tripods and stuff, like I'm thinking myself, all right, if I were doing like a river shot, because I've seen some of your stuff, are you all self shot, or do you have your wife shoot for you, or?
It's about 50-50, just because my
Mhm.
my wife does work full-time job Monday through Friday, and so yeah, she can't necessarily necessarily go with me a lot. And a lot of the times I try to fish Monday through Friday just because the fisheries are usually, they're dead. Everyone's usually at work. I'm able to schedule most of my my photo shoots in the afternoons, evenings, weekends, etc. So yeah, I try to, try to get there, and shoot myself, or, go to these fisheries where no one else is there. So yeah, a lot of times I'll put stuff on a tripod, and that's why in my videos you'll see me with my neck mount, and I have my phone on me because I'm using my phone as a basically a monitor and a remote for my camera. So I'll set my camera up, and then Nikon has an app that I connect with, able to literally tap and focus on myself, and then also hit record, adjust my settings while I'm 20, 30 feet away from my camera.
Yes, there's a lot of cool tips and tricks of those higher end DSLRs. 'Cause I know that even if you were doing like GoPro, I know GoPro still has their app that you could use, and I know that Insta360 has their apps as well. So some of the things that you're doing, so people that hear this and they don't have, a larger, like we were showing off early, we don't have a larger DSLR. They don't have to have that to do what you do necessarily, correct?
No, not at all. I wanted to make a kind of like a YouTube video or some type of tutorial video of showing, you could do everything that I'm doing just with an iPhone, just as long as you know how to, again, capture these type of stories to, to make your video just a little bit better, because some people just might not understand how to put a video together, and, how to capture certain shots to make a pretty video. And just having, again, like a shot list, you could easily translate that to, an easy tutorial, in my opinion.
Now, when you're shooting, I don't explain what this is to those that don't know, but when you shoot, do you shoot with any ND filters and stuff like that?
I don't. No. I mean, I should, even with like polarizers and stuff, especially with all the water. But honestly, I haven't. For landscape photos, I mean, just for my own like personal stuff, I have used, like graduated ND filters, just because for landscapes, I like to do everything in camera. And my wife and I, we love to do landscape photography. So those type of shots, I'll use it. But again, me being on the water, I just try to be as simple as possible, because even a tripod tipping over in the river frightens me to death, because it could seem stationary, but just the current and just, the rock underneath is moving, and the sand is just like, one moment it could be safe, but literally as the river is moving, like, you don't know what that bottom could be doing. And so, it's fun sometimes. I've had my Insta camera fall a million times on me. So having the mirrorless camera fall is going to hopefully never happen. Knock on wood.
Yeah, I'll knock on wood for you. Yeah, ND filters are neutral density. For those that don't know, they basically allow you to photograph in bright situations at a slower frame rate. So it gives you a more of a cinematic option. So now, when you're out photographing, or videoing, you're photographing in a specific setting to get what you're shooting for, right? You're not necessarily just recording to the camera and then posting, correct?
Yes and no, I would say. Just because I shoot in slow-mo, in camera slow-mo, and then I also shoot in 4K too. So
so I was talking about more like the setting, because do you shoot in log or for all of your stuff?
Again,
or?
for me to be, I shoot in a flat profile, but with the cameras, you have to have an external, basically, drive that you can then shoot in Nikon's version of log, which I don't do when I'm on the kayak or anything, just because I'm trying to be as simple as possible. So I shoot in a flat profile, but it's still not true like S-log in your standards.
Okay. Yeah. And that, for those that don't know, in the flat profile and the S-log, it allows you a larger editing capabilities post, so you can actually get the true colors you want. So that's where I've sort of fallen off, because we were talking earlier. I video in these flat profiles, and they import gray and grainy, and I'm like, all right, let's try this.
What is this?
What is this? Yes. And then, of course, I find the video after I've done all of my shot list, where it says you should always shoot one stop darker because it comes out really bright, and it does. It's super blown out because of the way I was photographing. But,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so I will say with my camera rig for my phone, I did get an ND filter for that because I wanted to be able to photograph in a slower frame rate. So I did need to
Yeah.
put an ND filter on my iPhone 16 Pro. But
Yeah, and phones are great, honestly. I mean, again, at the beginning of the year, I was doing, the chest mount and everything. I loved it.
mhm,
Great, super crisp, especially just to post on social media. It was awesome. But being a videographer, photographer, professional, you're just like you're itching to get more of the depth that the photographer, like the cameras offer you. So
mhm.
you're just like it's great, but there's still a difference in my eyes. So it's just like that's always what I'm trying to get versus the average user. You definitely can use the iPhones nowadays, and it's amazing.
So I know as a photographer who owns a studio, I have a ton of tech. Like I just get all these things. Do you have any gimbals or anything cool that you use for like your wedding videos that haven't made it to the water yet?
Yeah, I got gimbals. I just bought recently a RS4 Mini, and that
Mm,
was actually I've used it for like the most recent series. I didn't use it on the water just because I feel like handheld on the water just seems, especially in a river and a kayak, because a lot of times your kayak is moving and your subject is doing something different.
right.
And so for me to be in handheld, it just seemed easier for me to work with it. But I did get the gimbal for me, so I could use a suction cup on it, and then try to have cinematic shots of me kind of walking and having my gimbal track me, yeah, while I'm walking and fishing versus, yeah, me just being stationary for my self shot stuff versus my wife. She's able to track me, and those shots always look, in my opinion, sometimes better if you're having a
Right.
moving subject and you're just able to go, slightly
Mm.
behind a tree or some foliage or some foreground, to add some depth in it. So, yeah. So, yeah, I got a gimbal. I mean, just a lot of kinds of weird stuff, lighting, obviously,
Mhm.
flashes, um, strobes. I mean, I used to work in a studio for 10 years. I've done a lot with, big, huge, soft boxes that were, 6 feet long, at, large times. So, yeah, I've used all kinds from beauty dishes, ring lights. So there's all kinds of
All the
equipment.
pieces laying
Just
around.
not,
Yeah.
yeah, literally, just not for the fishing. We haven't used, obviously, that kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, there
So
are some things in my mind that I do want to create that is just
mhm.
mainly for pretty shots that I'm just like, man, I can't wait to do this and this and that, just because they just live in my head in the cinematic world.
Yeah, I always see things and I'm like, "Oh, man, I need that in case I ever need that. I'm gonna get that." One thing I have down here is actually, you ever seen the movie Blair Witch?
Oh yeah.
So they have a chest rig with a camera mount that sticks right in front of you, and that's what they film that on. I have that same rig down here, so you can put it in front of you or
Oh
behind you.
really?
Yeah, so it gives like the
That's
over the
really cool.
shoulder. So I haven't found a time
Ooh,
to use it, but I've got it. So,
that's awesome. Yeah,
uh,
that's
and you were just alluding to the project you did with Lewis. Uh, can you go over what you did with that and what it is, if you want to touch base on that?
Yeah, he had reached out to me and he saw my stuff on social media. He liked, the shorts that what I was producing and, the slow-mo stuff. And so he hired me to basically film, some intros, B-roll, and, him and his crew basically is his
Hmm.
friends camp and fish in 3 different states and 3 different rivers. And yeah, I mean, that was awesome to be a part of and to document because that was kind of like my first gig in the fishing industry, to be able to go out and fish with these guys that are doing this full time. Lewis is doing this full time, but these guys that are on social media, and yeah, being able to fish with them and then just work with them is awesome to be a part of.
So let me ask you this: compare that to your normal daytime gig of, let's say, video in a wedding. Did you go into it different? Was it what? Because I
Yeah,
know, like
it's definitely different.
your first gig, you get nervous. Like I know the first time I
Yeah.
went and shot a wedding, I'm like, if I mess this up, they're not going to redo this wedding for me. I've got to get it right. So, I mean,
Right.
going into this, were you a little bit of nerves or just
Yeah,
ready to go?
I was a little bit nervous just because I mean, it was just the camping, the river aspect, not knowing I've never been on these rivers, and so again, bringing the equipment on rivers that you've never been on
Hmm.
is a little bit, it's tense. I mean, I put out some videos. It's just like, yeah, I mean, there's some sections of rivers that you're just like, oh man, this could be crazy, especially with the equipment. And so there are times that we choose to obviously, pour it out and then walk down certain rapids or certain sections. But there's some times where you didn't even know that it was going to be bad until you're already in it, and yeah, you just have no choice but just to send it. So yeah, there's been some moments like that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I've watched that series that he put out, and I know that you guys did a little collaboration with the editing and the shooting and whatnot. And but I love that style. Like I could look at it and I love the shot choices and things like that. It was just really really well done. So
Well, thank you. I
I think you
appreciate it.
guys were a great collaborative team, if you will. Um, but let me ask you. With that many people involved, I mean, were you the only videographer other than their GoPros? You were the only.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
were you in charge of things, or were you there to capture like candid moments?
I was there to capture, I would say, candid moments, and then just kind of be that fly on the wall, and just document just them, getting ready, doing this, doing that. There wasn't a
Hmm.
lot of directing, and that's something I was going to say is different than the wedding videoing. Is that when you're doing the wedding videos, there's more directing because there's just so much going on, especially for the bride and groom. They're not going to be knowing what to technically be, how
Right.
to pose, and so as the person being there, you do all the directing versus this trip. I just felt like, okay, the way they're moving, how they're doing it, and again, us being apart constantly and close, and it just made more sense to capture, kind of candidly. Yeah, there was no direct, I guess, on the river type of aspect. It's very tough,
Yeah.
especially in the moving river. I mean, even once you catch a fish, it's tough. You're like, where can we pour it out? Where is there a shallow spot that we can even get these shots? Because it's a moving river. So
Hmm.
it could be sometimes super difficult to get the shots. And then even for example, like the muskie, it was very super difficult to get the shots because that fish in general is sensitive apparently. And that was my first time ever dealing with the fish, but once you catch them, the guys were very adamant of like, we got like 30 seconds to deal with this fish. We can't take him out of the water, like all this stuff. I'm like, all right, like if this was a normal fish, I would be like, all right, we need slow mo, we need 4K. All right, let me flip it, let me do vertical, and then all
Right.
right, put it down in the water, this and that. That certain trip, it was very tough. I was like, we literally had so much, like, not, I mean, lack of time to get the shot. So once it was there, it was just like, this is all we have to capture it, and this is that. So even like uh John Dalton, with Big Creek Adventure, I
Hmm.
mean, we were trying to get a good quality shot of his fish, and as soon as he picked it up just barely, it just wiggled out, and he didn't want to fight it any longer. He said, this is just the way it happens. If it goes, it goes. So, yeah, it was tough.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've been a photographer where I see things about to go down, and then they just sort of like either don't go the way I see it in my mind. Like, okay, I'm going to get this great shot of them feeding each other cake.
Yeah,
And next thing you know, there's this
exactly.
boom, like, what just happened? Or, the bride who's going to throw the bouquet, but doesn't do a countdown. She just looks at you and poof, launches it. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
know the necessity of the quick reaction. Um, and I know the answer to this, but would you say that your years of photography and videography have elevated your ability to capture those moments quicker?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, again, because we're shooting in manual,
Hmm.
exposures are changing, from being in the sun to backlit. And again, if you're doing a little bit directing, which I try to do, especially if, especially for the fish shots, if they catch a fish, at least I'm just like, sun is here, sun is here. Let me reposition you because the lighting is horrible. Or if we're on the the shade line, and there's a bunch of shade coming on your face, I'm like, that's not what I want. From the trees, there's spots all over you. So let me just change your
Hmm.
position to either have you fully in the sun or backlit because, yeah, we're not gonna. have that. So yeah, definitely my experience definitely helps me, be able to make these quick reactions to change the settings with literally just, a blink of an eye. But I will say with the cameras nowadays and having live view,
Hmm.
I've taught a lot of photographers, if you use your live view and you use, there's a certain, mode on your live view that shows your settings, if you're overexposed or underexposed, and all you have to do is just quickly move your dial, and that'll allow you to quickly change your settings, versus a lot of photographers don't know that. I've
Right.
at least a newer photographer. So I've showed that to a handful of people, and it's very useful even for me, be able to see that quickly and like, you know, change it, real quick.
Is that the zebras, the blinkies?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so let me ask you, and since you haven't been doing the fishing water videos long, can you share a close call story? Something that's been like uh, well, let me ask you this first. Is the camera you use on the water the same one you use for client work? All right. Have you had any moments where you're just like, oh my gosh, this is not a good idea?
Oh
I've
yeah.
messed up.
There's times where oh yeah, there's times where I've specifically just not gone on, let's just say the river, because I had a wedding coming up, and I was like, I just
Hmm.
did not want to risk it. But I will put all funds towards new camera, renting equipment, whatever it takes to literally, never have,
Oh yeah,
not to be down, but yeah.
yeah.
We do have like other cameras, like we use the D810 for, our second shooter camera. And so we do have other cameras like that. But yeah, as far as the mirrorless camera that can do photo and video, which, there are times when we do weddings where we'll, shoot some video for like, highlights or whatever the case is. So that would be the only reason why we would want to rent or do something of that nature.
Yeah, I do a lot of. I did a lot before my son graduated. Swim photography, and
Yeah.
whenever I'm like right there at the launch or whatever, and they do the roll, I have been drenched so many times, and I'm thinking, I'm not getting paid to do this. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. So that's why I was wondering, like, if you're out there with your studio kit, if you will,
Hmm.
uh, blood pressure, the scare factor. So
Oh yeah.
and,
It's like one of those things like, yes, you want to have the quality, so you have to certain, the risk to take. If you want the quality on the water, that's what it's going to take, even though
yeah.
water housing would be nice. Like that's one of the things that I want to invest in, is getting a water housing, just so I can do the half under shots. Like they
Hmm.
do a lot of times in like, the water photography, surf photography. So yeah, that's one thing I was just like, I could definitely see that benefiting, within this industry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Something else I thought I'd need and use. This is for a GoPro though.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I want that for my mirrorless camera, so we could do some cool shots like that with the fish. So, but yeah,
Hmm.
we'll see. We'll see.
So on the other side of that, what are some like moments where you were just um, like the aha moments, or if you had any moments where you're just like, that's it, that's the shot moments that you can recall?
um, Definitely just more recently with the series, that was able to video.
Hmm.
Just getting the shots, especially I think the stripers. Lou talked about that was one of his great trips too from the series. It was that trip,
Hmm.
just had a lot of good visuals. So from the morning, just seeing that with your eyes, and you're seeing the fog, and you're seeing all the kayakers, and the sun is literally coming up, and they're silhouetted. For me, I'm just like, if I can see that visually, how amazing that is. That was like an aha moment of like, I know just even B-roll, that like photos, like everything in this certain time frame right here at 7 o'clock in the morning with the fog rolling off of the river and the sun, backlight. It was just, yeah. And then them actually catching a striper and pulling it up. We got really good visuals of that. So I would say those
Yeah.
are like, for me, like good iconic, like, yeah, we got it. Like, this is why we came here. This is what this has all been about. This is what we're here for. So, to actually get the target fish on camera, and everything worked, on the camera side of things, obviously, like, yeah, quick motion, you're in a river, like,
Hmm.
yeah, you're just very limited. So for me, just to be able to get successful shots like that, it's always like, it's a plus. Obviously, messing up like a B-roll, there's you could do it again. Versus when you actually catch a target fish, a good sized fish, and then yeah, it's for the series, you got to perform. So it's nice to, to get that.
All right. So let's say someone is going to listen to this and they're like, okay, I love what you do. I love what you create, but I don't have that budget of a huge DSLR. Do you have a kit in mind that you would recommend someone to get if they're just wanting to get better images, better quality stuff?
I don't necessarily have a kit just because I've kind of been, I would say, out of the loop with the equipment, especially as because
Hmm.
once I've had so much equipment and things have worked for me, like what for like the Z7, for example, shoots everything I need right now. I
Right.
don't look at technically the newest models, but I know, you know, the newest of anything right now, entry level, I would say, can provide you, with great images. I think just coming from you and I, even from like seeing cameras
Hmm.
19 years ago versus now, definitely can produce, super clear, good images. Even I would say even at the entry level. But if you're trying to get into video, then I would say that next entry level video I think offers even 4K these days. You know, so which again, so, I mean, with my slow mo, I don't do 4K. I use 1080. So yeah, and I think it's been
Very
doing
nice.
fine for me on social media as far as TikToks and Instagram goes, and YouTube. A lot of people still watch things on 1080 and 4K. I would say isn't necessarily a thing unless you're into that high
Right.
def quality, which I am. But
Yeah. The stuff with Lewis, that's what you want to watch in 4K. That whole thing, like on a big
right,
screen at home, because
exactly, it's
it's
like a movie.
it's ready for it. So let me ask you. Let's switch gears now from photographer and all that stuff. Let's talk about you as an angler. What kind of kayak do you have?
Um, so right now I'm in a bona fide RVR 119. Lou got me into that. It was part of their contract with the gig with the series. So yeah, that was awesome. I was in Lifetime, the Lifetime tags
Hmm.
you get at Walmart and Sam's Club. That's what my wife and I got. So I was rocking that for a good amount of months, about 4 or 5 months, and then when he contacted me and just asked what I was in, he was
Hmm.
like, I think we can change that and we can add that to your contract. I was like, I love to hear that. And so, yeah, I've been in a bona fide RVR 119 for the river, which is a lot of what I do around here.
It's a
So,
big difference between those two, isn't it?
oh yeah, big, big difference. Obviously just, I mean, you can't really compare, I think it's like a $400 kayak to, one that's in the higher standard of,
Hmm.
river fishing kayak. So, I mean, I love everything about it. So been super blessed to get it.
Yeah. So what's your ideal fishing trip? Like, what would you like to go fishing for? Like when you're going out, let's say no cameras, it's just going to be you in the water. What's your target species and what do you like to go for?
If I'm doing local, to Georgia, where I live, I would say it would be probably the stripers. I've
Mm,
really fell in love with striped bass this year. Just my wife and I both have caught 40-inch striped bass on the kayaks and on
mm.
light tackle, and it was extremely fun and addicting. And I
Oh
mean, that
yeah.
fish just fights so crazy. So to be pulled around on a striper, on a lake is, I mean, you can't beat it in my opinion. Even though we have another fish that is super fun to target, which is a shoal bass.
Hmm.
Um, and that fish would be probably my second fish to target here locally because it's a super strong fighting fish and rivers that are clear, and yeah, they're super fun to target. So if it was a dream trip and not necessarily local, I would say I would want to go to the Amazon and go for the peacock bass there. So
Oh,
that's always, I've seen videos of that,
oh
and
yes.
yeah, it's just one of those dreams. I'm like, man, that just seems like a dream to go and target.
Yeah.
Like, I've caught peacock bass down in South Florida, but obviously it's a way different bass and strain than the ones that are in the Amazon.
Oh yeah. Especially when you watch them pulling the prop baits just exploding on the water. You're like, what's going to hit that? And next thing you know, the
Yeah,
water
exactly.
explodes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe you should go video some people doing. Yeah.
that's
I
what
know
I
that
was trying to talk some people into.
one of the companies that I chatted with, Drave, they go down there every once in a while to the Amazon and do some peacock stuff. Maybe I'll see if they need a videographer.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Shout me out. I would video
shout
that.
you
I mean, that's
out.
just as fun to me. Yeah, that's just as fun for me. Just even video and just to even like see that in person. I've always seen it in videos, and yeah, it's crazy. I want to see it.
So, where's your like favorite place to fish? Do you fish mostly rivers, or you do lakes, or are you a moving water or a still water kind of guy?
I'm 50-50, honestly, just because both places that I fish are about the same drive distance, and I'll target the lake when I know it's more of a striper season, and then
Hmm.
I'll go on the rivers usually when it's summer, fall, spring for sure. I don't go there as much into winter, but I still will do it. So that's why it's like 50-50. And then if the lake, if it's too windy, then I just do a lot of the river fishing.
So, I'm gonna flip back a little bit to the photo stuff. What's the hardest shot to get from the kayak? What would you say?
Um, any, I think, shot of me holding a fish. Just because I
Yeah,
have to set the
especially on
tripod
moving
up. The
water.
fish is
Yeah.
yeah, the fish is sitting, on some clippers, and I'm hoping that it doesn't, shake off. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, especially when I'm doing it by myself. It's just because, again, not everywhere I can have a spot that I can pour it out and, safely put my tripod or safely, do that. So, yeah, it's definitely tough when I'm doing it by myself, trying to find a spot for the fish.
Do you have a motor or you paddle only?
Paddle only for the time being. I definitely want a motor,
Hmm.
especially now being with some guys that I've seen use the motors in rivers, and I'm like, man, that literally seems like like a dream just to be on a motor in a kayak on a river. And so yeah, that's definitely the plan. I plan on getting it, but we got a lot going on at the house. We're trying to get a new roof, and so that's what we're spending
Mm.
all of our funds on right now. So that's expensive.
Tesla
So
Tesla
the
solar
motor's gonna have
panel
to
roof.
wait. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, I was just in my mind. I'm thinking, okay, if you set up the tripod to get the B-roll paddle pass, then you got to paddle back and get
The
camera, and
tripod.
then yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
and hope.
I was gonna post a video of like the drone shot, 'cause I actually have a drone shot of that where I was literally
Mhm.
going down the river just so I could get the shot of me fishing the bank, and then I had to paddle back up it just because that was the only spot where I could land the drone in this river was like just a little patch of rock, and yeah, and so it's just one of those things like I'm just doing circles in a certain area with my drone just to getting a singular shot, and so I do burn a lot of calories. I would say kayak fishing. Uh, just because it is a lot of a lot of prep and a lot of paddling here, paddling back, and then you're dragging your kayak, and that alone is a lot.
So let me ask you this, because I know that when I go fishing, I have like checklist upon checklist of things I want to bring with me. And when I go to a wedding, I have a checklist on checklist to bring with me. Well, if you combine the two, do you have like a certain I won't say ritual, but a certain procedure you do before you go to make sure you have everything? Because one missed battery can ruin your day.
Yeah, I lay out usually. Well, for weddings, it's a little bit more serious. So I'll lay out all my equipment, or even if I'm going camping and trying to do like photograph or video like the series, for
Hmm.
example. And before I go, I'll set up all my equipment on on my floor, and from literally from the cameras to the batteries to the memory cards to the card reader to the cords to all that, so I can see every single piece. And then from there, I just pack everything into my backpacks or my cases, whatever I'm doing.
Hmm.
So it's not like I don't have like a physical checklist or one that's in my phone.
Right.
It's just how I do. It's like, okay, this is camera one, camera two. These are the lenses that I'm bringing. These are the batteries, and I set the batteries by the cameras. This is the memory cards that are going by. So that's what I do.
Yeah. I think the only time we have a physical checklist is when we're traveling either out of state or so far that we can't get back to the studio to get what we forgot. That's when it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let me make sure. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the most nerve wracking. I mean, because we've photographed weddings all over from again like Costa Rica, Jamaica,
mhm.
Scotland, even, and yeah, like you said, going somewhere completely to where it's just you would be pretty screwed if you would have left something important.
Oh yes. Did you grab the charger? No, I
Yeah,
didn't.
no, well, my wife definitely leaves that all up to me to pack all the camera equipment and all that stuff, just so it's not, too many cooks in the kitchen. I know where
Yeah.
everything is. No one's accidentally leaving this. It's just all in my head. I know it's been packed.
So we're going to touch on editing just a little bit because I know that you don't give away all the secrets to the soup. But how long have you been doing video editing?
I mean, I've been doing video editing for, I would say a long time. It's not very consistent work. So I've been doing videos
Mhm.
probably for the past 10 years, but it's not as consistent as what I've been doing for the past, let's just say, couple years.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a software that you recommend for somebody who's getting into it that would be good for them to elevate their skill level? Like, is there one that
I
you
would
recommend?
actually, yeah, I would highly recommend CapCut. I might get hate for this, but it is a very easy to use app. And then
Mhm.
this is going from using, Adobe Premiere Pro, Final Cut. I've used that, and comparing the two in today's world, CapCut will literally give you everything that a new person would want and need for, their social media, 100%. So I would
Hmm.
definitely look into that one, even paying for it. I pay for CapCut and use their version of their paid version, and it is good. I would say gives you good fonts, gives you good, uh, use of your video. You could do all your color grading per se, your HSL, your contrast, your lighting, your exposures, and all that stuff there. And then yeah, I would say it's just very easy to use. So I would definitely would recommend that one.
HSL, is that highlight, saturation, and luminance?
Yeah, that's something,
Okay.
I like to use, especially for
Yeah.
color grading. Yeah, I mean, you can adjust your
Right.
foliage, your watercolor sometimes, you know, and yeah, that's
Right.
kind of what yeah, barely in diving into your color grading, but that's how you can make, your clip a little bit better is using, even those options when you're video editing. And CapCut allows you to do that. So
Yeah. Well, I was doing like one of my first podcasts, and we're talking about CPR fishing, the catch, photo, release. And my brother
mhm.
messaged me. He's like, "What is CPR?" So now, whenever anything's thrown out there, I try to break it down. So if
Say
someone,
what the
oh,
abbreviations are.
right, yeah, the HSL, they're like, "What's HSL?" I don't know, man. I think
Yeah,
they
what does
sell
he say?
stuff on the internet. Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah. So, but let me ask you this, because this has been a fear of mine coming off of Premiere. Premiere is like a lifetime commitment for me. Not only the editing, but when I go to export it, it's like go take a break, and when you're done with your break, take another break. And I've got a really
Well,
fast
again,
computer,
obviously, oh
so
yeah. Well, exporting is obviously is going to be different with CapCut. I mean, it does give you options. You can still, choose, your resolution from 4K, 1080. You can choose your frame rate, and you can even choose your bit rate. So as far as those go, I would say it's, again, for the person that is just now getting into it, it definitely can give you. I would say, your exporting is really easy to do.
yeah, that was a
So
thing, man. Trying to learn the
versus, yeah,
software,
like Premiere, you have all this a million options on Premiere. You're like,
right?
what is H.264? What is this?
And I'm over here on YouTube,
So yeah.
and that's the thing about YouTube. And I learned this with Photoshop. I took a Photoshop, not really class, but it was like a seminar one time, and there were two people teaching the class. And someone said, "Well, how do I do black and white in Photoshop?" And they were just going back and forth of the many ways you could do it. Oh, well, do the
Yeah.
saturation. Oh, just click gray. I was like, you know what? There are too many routes. It's like a highway to get to the same thing. So
Hmm.
that's how Premiere is to me, because if you watch tutorials, every single one has another route to get to the end goal. And it's
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
I haven't experienced CapCut, but I would hope that it's more of a streamlined process.
Oh yeah. And then I do it on
How
my phone and on my MacBook. So I
hmm,
mean, you can do it literally both. So yeah, I
how
do
much
it
time
just
has it
for on my
saved you,
MacBook,
basically?
just for YouTube. A
How much
lot of
time is
time.
it? Yeah, there you go. That's what
I mean,
that's
I
what
would say
I'm.
hours comparing.
Yes.
And that's why I like it, just because as someone to do this fishing, and mixing in with the high quality content, it's tough
Hmm.
because photography is my full time job. So for me to like do all this and yeah, try to put all this energy and as much as I do in
Hmm.
my business, it just yeah, I try to do it as quick and simple as possible. And that's why I say CapCut is super good, just because from what I've been able to use and produce the videos and yeah, able to export directly from my camera, literally, edit my footage from camera into CapCut. It looks great, in my opinion. So,
Very nice. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Is when I tell people if you could save the time, that's where it's at. Like even outsourcing images. Sometimes we have a large wedding and we have a couple of them, and they're like, do you do your own editing? I'm like, I do when I can, but if I've got a bunch of stuff stacked up, someone else is going to edit my images. It's just
yeah,
got to
exactly. I've had to
survive.
pay for
So
editors as well. So, definitely understand.
awesome. Well, we're coming up on the 1 hour mark. I think we ticked a lot of stuff. Is there anything you want to go over? Anything we missed? Any secrets you want to drop? Like holding your
No, yeah,
camera
I think
backwards gets you the best image.
right. No, nothing like that. I mean, Nikon is a good camera.
Hmm.
Nikon over
Yeah,
Canon.
I use it for a paper. No, yeah, I've gone Sony. I love my Sonys, and it's. I'm pretty sure if I went to the Nikon, the Z8, Z9s that we have for the studio for my business partner, I'm sure I would love that as well, because I shoot the A7 III, and that's a quite an older camera, but it's still very relevant in the industry today.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah,
so I,
Sony's for sure. I think are running the video game for sure. They're to me they're one of the best cameras for video. So if you're getting into video and you really want to get into like the realm of video, for sure,
mhm.
Sony I think would be your best option.
Yeah, just make sure you look at the runtime and overheat, because you don't want to spend that much
For
money on a camera and it goes out like a GoPro.
yeah, literally.
So
Yeah, so if you're doing
awesome.
actually a lot of shooting in the sun, that could be a problem.
Yes. Is there anything you want to go over? I sort of cut you off. We're talking about cameras, so I apologize.
Oh no,
Anything
no,
you want
no.
to
I
cover?
think
Shout out?
I don't
Oh,
think so.
awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Like I've said at the beginning, and I mean it wholeheartedly. As a photographer and someone who has attempted video, when I was scrolling through and I saw I forget what the first one was, but I'm pretty sure it was just you like walking through the water, pulling the kayak. I knew it was different. I knew it was well thought out. It was edited properly. It looked great. And it was going to be something that's not a game changer, but it's going to basically be something that other people are going to have difficult time achieving themselves. So you're
Well, I
doing a great
appreciate
job.
that.
I hope it continues. Hopefully other people step their game up, at least to clean the lens. That's the one thing I got to
Right.
tell everybody. If you're looking at your camera or your phone and it's hazy, take your shirt and clean your lens.
Please. It does so much. It literally will make
Yeah.
something look so like it was a piece of technology from 10 years ago, and you just fast forward 10 years. So
Yes.
it does a lot
Yeah. I've been at
just to just
weddings
wipe
and
that
watch
lens.
people, they're taking their selfies or their shots of the family, and like, watch this, clean the lens is like crisp, like you went from 720 to 4K just by cleaning the lens. Yeah. So
Instantly.
that's my photographer rant. I apologize, but but
No,
yeah,
you're
like I say,
good.
you're crushing it. I hope you continue to crush it. And when you make it big and you're up there getting your award, you remember me. Give a shout out. First podcast
Oh
ever.
no.
Boom. So awesome. I'm going to
Yeah,
put you in the
for real. Thank you
background.
for the invite.
No, thank you for coming. I'm going to
Appreciate
put
it.
you in the back, and then I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. I'll come right back with you.
Sounds good.
All right. All right, everyone. That was episode 44 with Michael Del Priore. I wrote it down. I don't want to mess up his name at the very end and just ruin everything. Awesome. It's the real Michael on Instagram, TikTok. Go check him out. His stuff will blow your mind as far as the quality. And if you saw just recently, Luis Delgado, he and the crew went on a river float trip and have a great series, cinematic series out that is a great watch. Get yourself some popcorn, sit down and enjoy. So, all right, this episode is brought to you by Snake River Manufacturing. So if you go to snakerivermanufacturing.us, you'll be able to see all of the kayak trailers that Steve and the crew have put together. They're amazing works of art to get you to and from the lake in style. It's the to and from that counts, and they make sure that happens. So also, if you look, this is brought to you by Viking Kayaks. If you go to vikingkayaksusa.com, you'll be able to see all of their paddlecraft. They have a great assortment. They just got a new shipment in, so if you want to pick something up, I'm sure they've got exactly what you need. If you're in the market for any coffee, kayakcoffee.com has supplied us a code CAFE20 for 20% off your order. So go check them out. They have some great coffee. Also, these cups are available at Nico's Art Therapy on Facebook. So if you Google Nico's Art Therapy, you can place an order for these cups, and every single dime goes to Nico and his therapy. All right. Well, thank you for sticking with